The lights turned red without warning. Kang Do-hyun was on his knees in a narrow maintenance tunnel when it happened. He was fixing a broken coolant pipe, his hands covered in grease, his mind focused on the simple task. Then the emergency lights came on. Red. Flashing. The kind of red that meant something very bad had happened. A voice filled the station. It was cold and automatic. Containment failure in Sector 9. All personnel must evacuate immediately. This is not a drill. Containment failure in Sector 9. Do-hyun stood up slowly. He wiped his hands on his worksuit and looked around the tunnel. He was alone. The maintenance tunnels were always empty. Nobody came down here except him and a few other engineers. The tunnels connected the lower decks of the research station, running beneath the main floors like veins under skin. The station was called the Veiled Dawn. It floated in orbit around a dead moon, far from any planet with life. Do-hyun had worked here for 2 years. He fixed things. Pipes, wires, machines. He was good at his job, and he never asked questions about what the scientists were doing in the upper levels. That was not his business, but now something had gone wrong. Very wrong. He tried his communicator. Static. He tried again. Nothing. The system was either jammed or broken. He had no way to reach anyone. Do-hyun made a decision. He needed to move toward the shuttle bay. If the station was being evacuated, that was where everyone would go. He grabbed his tool bag and started walking. The tunnel was dark, except for the red emergency lights. They made everything look like it was covered in blood. Do-hyun moved carefully, listening for any sound. He heard distant alarms. He heard the hum of the station's power core. But he heard nothing else. Then he heard screaming. It was far away, somewhere above him. A high, sharp scream that cut through the metal walls. Then silence. Then another scream, shorter this time. Then nothing. Do-hyun stopped walking. His heart beat faster. He did not know what was happening, but he knew it was bad. He started moving again, faster now. He climbed a ladder and pushed open a hatch. He came out into a main corridor on Deck 7. The lights here were also red. Papers and equipment were scattered on the floor. Someone had left in a hurry. He saw her then. Yoon-hana. She was pressed against the wall, her eyes wide, her breathing fast. She was a xenobiologist. Do-hyun knew her. They had eaten meals together in the cafeteria. She was smart and kind, always asking questions about alien life forms. Now she looked terrified. "Hana," he said quietly. She turned to him. Relief flooded her face. "Do-hyun, thank the stars. I thought I was alone. What happened?" He asked. She shook her head. "I do not know. I was in my lab." Then the alarms started. I tried to reach the command center, but she stopped. Her hands were shaking. "But what?" She pointed down the corridor. "I saw them. The security team. Nathari soldiers. 6 of them. They were running towards Sector 9. She swallowed hard. They never came back." Do-hyun looked down the corridor. It was empty and dark. He saw something on the floor, far away. It looked wet. It looked red. "We need to move," he said. "The shuttle bay is on Deck 3. We go up, not down." Hana nodded. They started walking together, staying close to the walls. The station felt different now. It felt like something was hunting inside it. Do-hyun could not explain the feeling. It was like being watched by something he could not see. They passed a doorway. The door was torn off its frame. Not broken, torn, like something had ripped it away with great strength. Do-hyun looked inside. It was a small security room. There were bodies inside. Hana made a small sound. Do-hyun put his hand on her shoulder. "Do not look," he said. "Keep moving." But he looked. He saw the claw marks on the walls. He saw how the bodies had been cut apart. Whatever did this was not using weapons. It was using its own body, its own claws. "Do-yun," Hana whispered. "I know what did this." He looked at her. "The marks," she said. "The pattern. I have studied it before. In research files." Her voice was barely a sound. "It is a wraith. From Caraxis 7. Do-hyun did not know that planet, but he knew the look on Hana's face. She was afraid in a way he had never seen before. "What is a wraith?" he asked. "A predator," she said. "The worst predator in the known galaxy. Nothing survives them. They were used in ancient wars to destroy entire colonies. They are supposed to be extinct." She looked at him. "Why is one here? On this station?" Do-hyun did not have an answer, but he understood now. This was not an accident. This was not a simple containment failure. Someone on this station had been keeping a monster, and now that monster was free. The station shook. Somewhere, an explosion. More screams, far away. "The shuttle bay," Do-hyun said. "We have to reach it, now." They ran behind them. In the darkness of the corridor, something moved. It was large and black and silent. It watched them go with 6 pale eyes. It did not follow. Not yet. It was learning, studying, deciding. The wraith had been trapped for months, poked with needles, burned with electricity, forced to obey commands that hurt its mind. Now it was free. Now it would hunt. But something puzzled it. One of the creatures it saw smelled different from the others. Not like prey. Like something else. The wraith remembered that smell. It would find that creature again. Soon. The corridors of the Veiled Dawn were a maze in the dark. Do-hyun led the way. He knew the station better than most. 2 years of crawling through maintenance tunnels and fixing broken systems had taught him every shortcut, every hidden path. Hana followed close behind, her hand gripping the back of his work suit. They moved in silence. The red emergency lights still flashed, painting everything in shades of blood. Somewhere in the station, the wraith was hunting. They could not see it. They could not hear it. But they knew it was there. "How much further?" Hana asked. Her voice was a whisper. "2 more decks," Do-hyun said. "We take the service stairs. Avoid the main halls." They reached a stairwell. The door was already open. Do-hyun looked inside carefully. Empty. They started climbing. On the stairs they found others. A group of 5 station workers huddled together on a landing. They were technicians and researchers, their faces pale with fear. When they saw Do-hyun and Hana, they almost cried with relief. "Are you going to the shuttles?" one of them asked. He was young, maybe 20 years old. His hands would not stop shaking. "Yes," Do-hyun said. "Stay quiet. Stay together. Follow us." They climbed higher. 7 people now, moving like shadows through the dying station. Do-hyun listened for any sound. He heard the distant hum of machines. He heard the breathing of the people behind him. He heard nothing else. Then they found the door to Deck 4. It was locked from the other side. Do-hyun tried his access code. Nothing. He tried the emergency override. Nothing. Someone had sealed the door. From the command center. "They locked us out," Hana said. Her voice cracked. Do-hyun pressed the intercom button next to the door. "This is Kang Do-hyun, engineering staff. We have survivors here. Open the door." A voice answered. It was cold and sharp. "The door stays closed. Commander Tolvik's orders. No one enters or exits until the threat is eliminated." Do-hyun recognized the species from the voice. Nethari, the insectoid aliens who ran the station's security. Commander Tolvik's was their leader. He was tall and proud, and had always looked at humans like they were insects themselves. "There are 7 of us here," Do-hyun said. We need to reach the shuttles. Find another way, the voice said. The command center is secure. We will not risk contamination. The intercom went dead. One of the technicians started crying. Another punched the wall in anger. Hannah just stood there, staring at the locked door. They are leaving us to die, she said quietly. Do-hyun turned away from the door. His mind was already working on another plan. There is another way. The cargo tunnels on Deck 5. They connect to the shuttle bay loading area. We can get through there. They went back down. One deck lower. The cargo tunnels were wide and dark, used for moving large equipment. Do-hyun had worked in them many times. He knew the path. They were halfway through when they heard a new sound. Footsteps. Running. Coming toward them. Do-hyun pushed everyone against the wall. Do not move, he whispered. A figure appeared from the darkness. It was not the Wraith. It was a Kelthie, one of the aquatic origin species with gray skin and large eyes. He was wearing a scientist's coat. He was terrified. Please, the Kelthie gasped. Please help me. It is coming. It is coming for all of us. Do-hyun stepped forward. Who are you? Dr. Orvan, the Kelthie said. I was part of the project. The containment project. His voice broke. This is my fault. All of this is my fault. Hannah moved closer. You were studying the Wraith? Orvan shook his head. Not studying, controlling. We were trying to control it. The Coalition wanted a weapon. Something that could destroy enemies without armies or ships. The Wraith was perfect. Unstoppable. Deadly. We captured it from Caraxes 2 years ago. You brought that thing here? One of the technicians shouted. We thought we could control it. Orvan cried. We put implants in its brain. Neural controllers. We could give it commands. Make it hunt what we wanted. Make it stop when we wanted. He covered his face with his hands. But the implant failed. It broke free. And now it is killing everyone, Do-hyun said. Orvan nodded. It will not stop. It cannot stop. The Wraith is from a death world. Hunting is all it knows. It will kill every living thing on this station until nothing is left. Silence fell over the group. The weight of his words pressed down on all of them. Hannah spoke. You said the implant controlled its targeting. What did it target? Orvan looked at her. We programmed it to identify threats by species. The implant had data on every known species in the galaxy. Their strength, their speed, their danger level. The Wraith would hunt the most dangerous first. So it targets based on how dangerous a species is? Hannah asked. Yes. The more aggressive the evolutionary history, the higher the priority. Hannah looked at Do-hyun. Something passed between them. An unspoken thought. Humans were not classified as dangerous in galactic records. The Coalition had always called them weak and soft. Easy prey. But Do-hyun and Hannah both knew Earth. They knew what humans had survived. Ice ages, plagues, predators, each other. If the Wraith could sense evolutionary history, what would it see when it looked at a human? We need to keep moving, Do-hyun said. They continued through the tunnel. Orvan joined them. 8 people now, walking through the darkness toward Hope. Behind them, far back in the shadows, the Wraith followed. It moved without sound. Its black scales absorbed the light. Its 6 eyes saw everything. It had killed many prey today. Nathari soldiers. Kelthie scientists. All of them had run and screamed and died. But there was one creature it had not killed. The one that smelled different. The one that did not run. The one that stood still and looked back at it. The Wraith was curious. It had never been curious before. It wanted to find that creature again. It wanted to understand, and so it followed. The cargo tunnel opened into a wider space. Old shipping containers stood in rows, creating walls of metal in the darkness. Emergency lights cast long shadows between them. Do-Yun stopped. Something felt wrong. "What is it?" Hannah asked. He did not answer. He was listening. The air felt different here. Heavier. Like something large was breathing nearby. "Everyone stay close," he said quietly. "Move slowly. Do not run." They walked between the containers. 8 people in a line, their footsteps soft on the metal floor. The shuttle bay was close now. Just through this storage area, then up one more level. They were almost safe. Then they heard it. A low sound. Like air moving through a cave. Like something ancient and huge exhaling in the dark. Everyone stopped. Orvin made a small noise. His whole body was shaking. "It found us," he whispered. "It found us." The wraith came out of the shadows. It was bigger than Do-Yun had imagined. Bigger than any creature he had ever seen. It stood on 6 legs, each one thick with muscle. Its body was covered in scales so black they seemed to swallow light. Its head was long and narrow, filled with teeth that looked like broken glass. And its eyes. 6 pale eyes that glowed like dying stars. It stood between them and the exit. Silent. Still. Watching. 2 Nathari soldiers were in the group. Do-Yun had not noticed them before. They must have joined in the stairwell. Now they stepped forward, raising their weapons. "Get behind us," one of them said. "We will hold it off." They fired. Bright energy bolts flew toward the wraith. The creature moved. Not fast. Impossibly fast. Like smoke in wind. The shots hit empty air. The wraith was already somewhere else. The first soldier died before he could fire again. One swipe of a massive claw, and he was in pieces. The second soldier screamed and ran. He made it 3 steps before the wraith caught him. Everyone else scattered. They ran in different directions, hiding behind containers, pressing themselves into corners. Orvin ran the fastest. He disappeared into the maze of metal boxes. The wraith turned. It looked at the running prey. So many choices. So much fear in the air. Then it stopped. Had found him. The one that smelled different. Do-Yun had not run. He stood in the middle of the open space, alone. His heart was beating so hard he could feel it in his throat. Every part of his body screamed at him to run. To hide. To do anything except stand there. But he did not move. His grandfather had been a farmer in the mountains of Korea. A hard man who had survived the war when he was young. He had taught Do-Yun many things. How to fix machines. How to grow food. How to survive. And one lesson above all others. When you face a predator, do not run. Running makes you prey. Stand your ground. Look it in the eyes. Show it that you are not afraid. Do-Yun was afraid. More afraid than he had ever been in his life. But he did not show it. He kept his body still. He kept his breathing slow. He looked at the wraith with steady eyes. The creature moved toward him. Hannah was hiding behind a container. She saw everything. She wanted to scream. She wanted to run to Do-Yun and pull him away. But she could not move. Fear had frozen her in place. The wraith stopped in front of Do-Yun. It was so close he could feel the heat from its body. He could see his own reflection in those 6 pale eyes. Had studied him. Its nostrils flared. It was smelling him. Reading him. Learning everything about him through senses humans could not understand. Then it did something. Strange. It lowered its head. Slowly, carefully, until its massive skull was level with Do-Yun's chest. And it exhaled. A long, slow breath that washed over him like warm wind. Not a threat. Not an attack. Something else entirely. A greeting. The wraith pulled back. It circled him once, twice. Its claws clicked against the floor. Its eyes never left his face. It was seeing something, recognizing something. And then it turned away. It walked past Hannah without looking at her. It walked past the containers where the others were hiding. It moved to the far end of the storage area and disappeared into the darkness. Doggone, no. One moved for a long time. Finally, Hannah came out from her hiding place. Her legs were weak. Her hands would not stop shaking. She walked to Dalian, who still stood in the same spot. "Are you hurt?" she asked. He shook his head. His face was pale, but his eyes were calm. Orvan emerged from behind a container. He looked at Dalian like he was seeing a ghost. "What happened?" he asked. "What did you do? Why did it not kill you?" Dohyun did not have an answer. He did not understand what had happened. He only knew that the wraith had looked at him and seen something. Something that made it stop. "It recognized me," he said slowly. "I do not know how, but it recognized me." "Recognized you as what?" Hannah asked. Diane looked at her. He thought about his grandfather's lessons. He thought about the long history of his species, the ice ages they survived, the predators they fought, the endless wars they won. "I do not know," he said. "But I think it saw what I really am." The survivors gathered together. 6 of them now. 2 dead Nathari soldiers behind them. A monster somewhere in the dark ahead. But they were alive. Against all odds, they were alive. "We keep moving," Dalian said. "The shuttle bay is close." They walked toward the exit. Behind them, the wraith watched from the shadows. It did not follow. It did not need to dot. It had found what it was looking for. The creature that did not run. The creature that smelled like something ancient and dangerous. The wraith would see that creature again. It was certain of this. And when it did, it would learn more. They found a secure room on Deck 3, a small research lab with thick doors and working power. Dohyun sealed the entrance while the others collapsed onto the floor, exhausted and afraid. 6 survivors. Dohyun and Hannah, Orvan the Kelthi scientist, 3 station workers who had not spoken since the cargo area. Hannah moved to a computer terminal. Her fingers flew across the controls. She needed answers. She needed to understand what had happened with the wraith. "What are you doing?" Orvan asked. His voice was tired. "Looking for information," Hannah said. "The wraith should have killed Dohyun. It killed everyone else who stood in its way. But it stopped. It looked at him and stopped. I need to know why." Dohyun stood by the door, watching the corridor through a small window. "Maybe it was not hungry," he said. "No," Hannah replied. "You saw how it moved, how it hunted. It was not about hunger. It was about instinct, about eliminating threats." She paused. "It did not see you as a threat." "That does not make sense," Orvan said. "The wraith targets based on species data, danger levels, evolutionary history. Humans are classified as..." He stopped. "Classified as what?" Dohyun asked. Orvan looked uncomfortable. "Low threat. Class 4 species. Minimal biological advantages. The coalition considers humans, well, weak," Hannah finished. "They consider us weak." Orvan nodded. Hannah turned back to the computer. "Then, why did the wraith react the way it did? If humans are classified as harmless, it should have ignored Dohyun completely, or killed him without thought. Instead, it examined him. It circled him. She struggled for the right word. It respected him." The computer screen filled with data. Hannah was accessing the xenobiology database, searching through files on Earth and humanity. Most of it was standard information. Population, technology level, political structure. Then she found something else. A file marked restricted. Old. almost buried in the system. "What is that?" Do-hyun asked, coming closer. "Pre-contact survey data," Hana said. "From the first alien scouts who visited Earth 300 years ago." She opened the file. The room went quiet as they read. The original survey team had spent 2 years studying Earth before making contact with humans. They had observed everything: the climate, the wildlife, the history, and they had written a report that was nothing like the current classification. Earth was not a Class 4 world. Earth was a death world. The survey described a planet of constant danger. Extreme temperatures, deadly storms, predators on every continent, diseases that could kill millions, natural disasters that destroyed entire regions. And in the middle of all that chaos, one species had survived. Not just survived, dominated. Humans, the report called them persistence predators. Hunters who did not rely on speed or strength or claws. Instead, they chased their prey for hours, days, weeks. They never stopped. They never gave up. They wore their prey down until it could not run anymore. They had survived ice ages that killed most life on their planet. They had fought wars against each other for thousands of years and kept growing stronger. They had domesticated wolves and horses and turned them into weapons. They had built tools, and then better tools, and then machines that could destroy cities. The original classification was clear. Humans were apex predators. One of the most dangerous species the survey team had ever encountered. But that classification had been changed. Hannah found the order buried in another file. 200 years ago, when humans first joined the Galactic Coalition, the original survey was sealed. The classification was lowered from Death World species to harmless newcomers. Why? Do-hyun asked. Why hide this? Orvin answered. His voice was small. Politics. Fear. When humans joined the coalition, they had no ships, no weapons, no power. The coalition leaders decided it was better to keep them contained. If humans knew what they really were, if other species knew, it would change everything. So they lied, Hana said. They buried the truth, Orvin said. Made everyone believe humans were weak and soft, easy to control, easy to ignore. Do-hyun stared at the screen. He thought about his grandfather again. The old man had survived war and hunger and loss. He had never complained. He had just kept going, day after day, year after year. That was what humans did. They endured. The Wraith does not care about politics, Hana said slowly. It does not read files or follow orders. It senses things, smells things, reads the chemical signature of a species' evolutionary history. She looked at Do-hyun. When it looked at you, it did not see what the coalition wanted it to see. It saw the truth. What truth? One of the workers asked. That humans are not prey, Hana said. We are predators. Survivors of a death world. Millions of years of evolution shaped us into something that does not give up, does not stop, does not die easily. She paused. The Wraith recognized that. It saw Do-hyun as an equal. Orvin shook his head. This cannot be right. Humans are. Humans are what we have always been, Do-hyun said quietly. The galaxy just forgot. He looked at his hands. Simple hands. No claws, no scales. Nothing special to look at. But those hands had built empires and torn them down. They had created art and weapons. They had reached across the void of space and grabbed hold of the stars. The Wraith had seen all of that. In one look, in one breath, it had understood what humanity truly was, and it had decided not to fight. We need to warn the others, Hana said. Commander Tolvix, everyone in the command center. If the Wraith comes for them, they will die, Orvin said. The Nathari are classified as a warrior species. High threat. The Wraith will target them first. Da-Hyun moved toward the door. Then we need to stop it. How? Orvan asked. Nothing can stop a Wraith. Nothing. Do-Hyun looked back at him. You said it sees me as an equal. Maybe I can use that. Maybe I can reach it. That is insane, Orvan said. Maybe, Do-Hyun agreed. But it is also the only chance we have. He unsealed the door. Hannah grabbed his arm. Don't wait. You cannot just walk up to that thing and hope it listens. He smiled slightly. It was the first time he had smiled since the alarm started. I will not hope, he said. I will show it what I am, what all humans are, and I will make it understand. He stepped into the corridor. Behind him, Hannah watched him go. She thought about the file she had read. The truth about Earth. The truth about her own species. Humans had walked out of the darkness of prehistory. They had faced monsters before. Maybe they could face one more. The station was quiet now. Most of the screaming had stopped. Most of the running had ended. The Wraith had been thorough. Du-Hyun walked alone through the dark corridors. He carried no weapon. He made no effort to hide. He walked the way his ancestors had walked across the plains of Africa 100,000 years ago. Steady, patient, unstoppable. The Wraith would find him. He was counting on it. He moved deeper into the station, toward the lower decks where the creature had made its den. The emergency lights had failed here. Only darkness remained. Do-Hyun did not slow down. His eyes adjusted. His other senses sharpened. He could feel the air moving. He could smell something old and wild ahead. The corridor ended in a large room. Some kind of cargo hold. The ceiling was high and lost in shadow. Broken containers and twisted metal covered the floor. In the center of the room, the Wraith waited. It was lying down, like a cat resting after a hunt. But its 6 eyes were open. They watched Do-Hyun as he entered. They did not show surprise. They showed something else. Interest. Du-Hyun stopped at the edge of the room. He looked at the creature. It looked back at him. For a long moment, neither moved. Then Do-Hyun stepped forward. The Wraith's head lifted. It was watching him carefully now, reading him. He could feel its attention like heat on his skin. He kept walking. Not fast, not slow. Just walking. Like this was the most natural thing in the world. Like he walked toward death world predators every day. The Wraith rose to its feet. All 6 legs supporting that massive body. It was even bigger standing up. Its head nearly touched the high ceiling. Its claws dug into the metal floor. Do-Hyun stopped in front of it. He could have run. Every animal instinct in his body told him to run. But he was not an animal. He was human. Humans did not run from predators. Humans studied them, learned them, and then humans hunted them. The Wraith lowered its head toward him. Its breath was warm and smelled like copper. Its 6 eyes examined him from inches away. Do-Hyun met its gaze. He did not blink. He did not look away. And then he did something the Wraith did not expect. He reached out his hand and touched its face. The scales were warm and smooth under his fingers. He felt the power beneath them, the muscles that could tear through steel. The ancient predator that had killed countless creatures across countless worlds. The Wraith went very still. In its long life, nothing had ever touched it like this. Not with a weapon. Not with fear. Just a touch. Simple, calm, unafraid. Do-Hyun spoke. His voice was quiet but clear. You do not belong here, he said. This station. These walls. This is not your home. The Wraith did not understand the words, but it understood the meaning, the tone, the intention behind them. Do-Hyun pointed toward the ceiling, toward the stars beyond. There are wild places out there. Death worlds like the one you came from. Planets where you can hunt and run and be free. He lowered his hand. You do not need to stay here. You do not need to kill anymore. The wraith studied him for another long moment. Its 6 eyes seemed to hold entire galaxies within them. Ancient, intelligent, understanding. Far more than any galactic report gave it credit for. Then, it did something remarkable. It turned away. It walked past Do-Yun without touching him. It moved toward the corridor that led to the shuttle bay. The same bay where survivors were waiting. The same bay where ships could take it anywhere in the galaxy. Do-Yun followed. The wraith moved through the station like a ghost. Silent, purposeful. It passed rooms where survivors hid. It passed corridors where soldiers waited with weapons ready. It did not attack. It did not even slow down. They reached the shuttle bay. A single cargo shuttle sat on the launch pad. Old and battered, but still able to fly. The wraith walked up the loading ramp and into the ship. It turned once and looked back at Do-Yun. One last look between 2 predators. 2 survivors. 2 creatures who understood each other in a way no one else could. Then the ramp closed. The shuttle's engines fired. And the wraith was gone. Do-Yun watched the ship disappear into the darkness of space. He stood there for a long time, even after the lights had faded to nothing. You did it. He turned. Hana was standing in the doorway. Her eyes were wet. She looked at him like he was something impossible. You actually did it, she said. I just talked to it, Do-Yun said. That is all. No. Hana shook her head. You showed it what you are. What we all are. She stepped closer. The galaxy has been lying to us for 200 years. Telling us we are weak. Telling us we are nothing. But you just proved them wrong. Do-Yun did not feel like a hero. He just felt tired. Other survivors emerged from hiding. Workers. Scientists. They looked at Do-Yun with wonder and fear. They had seen what he did. They did not understand it. But they would remember it. Commander Tolvix came last. The tall Nethari commander walked slowly, his face unreadable. He stopped in front of Do-Yun and stared down at him. How did you do that? Tolvix demanded. What did you do to control it? Do-Yun looked up at him. For once, he did not feel small next to the commander. For once, he did not feel like the weak human that the galaxy said he was. I did not control it, he said. I reminded it what I am. And what you forgot. Tolvix's eyes narrowed. And what is that? Do-Yun smiled slightly. A survivor. He walked away, leaving the commander standing alone. Hana fell into step beside him. What happens now? She asked. The coalition will try to bury this, Do-Yun said. Just like they buried the truth about Earth. They will say the wraith died in a containment failure. They will pretend nothing happened. But people know. Everyone here saw what you did. Yes, Do-Yun agreed. And stories spread. Even the coalition cannot stop that. Weeks later, they were on a transport ship heading back to human space. The station was far behind them. The official report said nothing about Do-Yun or the wraith, just as he had predicted. But Hana was right. Stories spread in stations and ports across the galaxy. People whispered about the human who faced the wraith and walked away. The human who touched a death world predator and made it listen. The human who proved that Earth's children were not as harmless as everyone believed. Hana sat next to Do-Yun as their ship moved through the stars. She watched the lights of distant suns drift past the window. Do you think the wraith is still out there? She asked. Do-Hyun nodded slowly. I know it is, and if it comes back someday? If it finds you again? He thought about the creature's eyes. The recognition he had seen there. The understanding between 2 predators from 2 death worlds. Then I will remind it again. he said. As many times as it takes. The ship flew on through the endless dark. And somewhere out there, among the wild planets and forgotten moons, a wraith ran free. It thought about the humans sometimes. The one who did not run. The one who smelled like ancient survival. The galaxy was vast and full of prey. But the wraith had found something more interesting than prey. It had found an equal. And that was worth remembering.